Hey everybody, all right, let me see what we got over here. Got a Gibson, got a Fender. The point of this video is I'm curious what you all think. You know, what camp are you in? You a Gibson guy? You a Fender guy? We're going to talk about the similarities and differences between these two guitars, what they're good for, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. If you're watching this on YouTube, please go to the comments below and let me know. What do which camp are you in, the Gibson or the Fender camp? And what instruments what instrument do you play? What's your preference? And if you are on my guitar channel, if you are one of my guitar channel people on TrueFire, I would like you to do the same. Let me know, but you literally could send me a little video of yourself with your instruments. Let me know. Which camp are you in? Gibson, Fender, both? Yeah, I'm just curious for your feedback to see what you're into. What do you got? And what are you using? What are you using it for? All right, so let's jump right in. I'm going to start with my trusty Gibson. All right, so the guitar. This guitar is a Gibson 165, ES 165. Looks just like a 175, except it just has one pickup. It's a Herb Ellis model, and I actually got to work one session with Herb Ellis, which was awesome. I was more of a associate producer on the session with my good friend Joe Ferry was producing it. And so the difference between this and a regular 175 would be the one pickup, the gold hardware, and really nice select wood. If you could see that there. This is a beautiful, just an awesome looking instrument. And I bought this guitar in 1992, 93. I haven't checked the serial number on it. I should. The serial number is 927-32339. So anybody out there that would like to take a quick check for me, that would be awesome. You could let me know what exact year this guitar was made. I just bought it off the rack, as they say. And the only thing I did was I put a Seymour Duncan PAF pickup in here. And over the years, I've had to have it fretted a few times. And other than that, stock. I broke one of the tuners. This one. You can see it's a little different than the others. Dropped out of the back of my car and fell right on the tuner. Broke it, and I found somebody that had a similar tuner. And other than that, that's it. I've played it a lot. You can see I wore the finish off the back of the neck pretty much in a lot of the spots. No major injuries to it. I'm playing it through a pretty highly modded Blues Junior here. Sometime I'll just do a video just on the amp and talk about the pluses and minuses on this amp. I'll preface it by saying I have a love-hate relationship with this little amplifier, and I'll go through a video and vent on this one. But anyway, let's see what my settings are at now. I have my reverb on 3. Master is on 2. What is this? Oh, the middle is on, let's see, 9. And the bass is on like 4, and the treble's like on 3. So it's, most of my setup when I set up my amps is that it's mid-heavy. So I have a lot of mids. I have a tendency to roll off. I kind of roll everything down, bring up the mids, bring in as much bass as I need and bring in as much treble. I like a pretty trebly sound on my Gibson, on my jazz guitar. I know a lot of people, they like to roll all the tone off. Sounds like they're playing under a pillow or something. I'm not really into that, and I think it's because I spent so much time in New York City listening to great jazz guitar players, and to me they never sounded like that. It sounded like the instrument through an amplifier. It didn't sound all muffly and weird, And also when you're rolling off all the top, it makes the bottom all boomy and weird. And personally, I just don't dig it. So here's what this guitar sounds like. Everything is full up. I'm gonna turn up the volume a little more. I just don't want to blast. I don't want to overdo the microphone and blast everything out. Oh, that's another thing. I'm just using my blue large diaphragm microphone, and so I don't have a mic on the amp. I'm trying to get sort of as much sort of like real room sound. I don't know, so that this way you can really hear A, B them. A lot of times I see videos, I watch videos and hear them, and they're A-Bing, and you can't really hear the difference because of how they're processing everything. So I figured this would be the closest to like your ear is the microphone and you're sitting in the room with me. And so I hope that you can hear the difference. So here's the Gibson. The Gibson is, the hollow body guitar is great for jazz. Very nice, warm, full, Pretty nice sounding. It's cool, and it's what it's best at. I have flat wounds on here. I have flat wound 13s. And so the great thing about the flat wounds is they're kind of dead sounding. So my bottom is not gigantic and boomy. And my top is nice and clear. And what you're always looking, well, not you, what I'm always looking for, and I hope you are too, is that you have a nice clarity of sound. You don't want the bottom to dominate the top. You don't want the top, when you come up high, to sound so crappy that you don't want to play up high, or that you feel the need to hit all these pedals. A lot of times, distortion pedals, what they really do is they compress the sound and even it out. So a lot of times it forgives, not bad properties, but things that you might not be doing right either with your fingers or the amplification. So you'll see up here, the sound up here, I hope, is as nice as the sound down here. And it's actually, this should be actually maybe a little bit louder. So this way I can adjust my picking and pick a little lighter. And seeing down here, it's not overwhelming. And that's when you hear people talking about that it's balanced across the neck, meaning that there's not any spots that like really jump out and are loud or quiet or don't sound good up here. To me, playing is so much about sound that if it doesn't sound good, I don't know, I'm not inspired to play. So if the guitar didn't sound good above the 12th fret, I might not want to go up there because it didn't sound good. So So here's, you know, the basic, this is the basic Gibson sound, right? So, yeah, it's cool. All right, let's switch over. Now, I'm not going to change any of the settings on my amp. I'm going to leave the same settings. And I'm going to come over to the little Telecaster. Now, so this is the this is a road-worn Mexican Tele. And let me talk about the mods that I've done on this. So first of all, the first question that many of you might either be asking or turning your nose up against is that I bought a road-worn Tele. Now this one, I did not buy new. I bought this off of eBay. I wanted to get a butterscotch Tele. And I wasn't planning on getting a road-worn Tele. And but this one happened to be super inexpensive for a number of reasons. It was very inexpensive, and so I wound up buying it. And I bought it, of course, without playing it, which is very strange. And the fellow that I bought it from was very nice. He let me have a week with it. You know, he actually gave it to me in writing. You know, sent me an email. Try it for a week. If you don't like it, send it back, and all you got to do is pay the shipping, you know, and I'll pay you back. So it was a great deal. And this was over 10 years ago that I got this. So the patina on here, a lot of it would look just like all the other road warrants that you see, but you'll also see that over the 10 years that plus that I've had it, that I've played it, I've sort of added what you would call natural wear and tear to it. Now, what did I do when I bought it? So the first thing I did was I swapped out the pickups, and I got the Fender Custom Shop No-Caster pickups. Those were the first ones I put in, which I happen, by the way, to love. I love them so much. But the problem I had was that they're so quiet. And so when you go out to play, you know, these guitars are subject to noise to begin with. You know, I mean, if you have both pickups on, it's kind of like humbucking. But if you switch to one or the other, it's loud. You know, there's noise. So the pickups were quiet to begin with, so I'd have to crank the amp. And then if you're going through effects pedals that are not, you know, the new pedals are true bypass, and you know, a lot of my old pedals, they're not true bypass. So there would be issues, you know, there'd be noise issues. So I wound up buying Lawler pickups for it. And so they're supposed to be like the vintage old sound, but just louder, you know. So it's sort of, as you can see, the difference in volume between the Gibson and the Tele it's not that much, right? Right? So that was an important thing for me, that the volume came back up. The tone is good. I put one of those, shoot, it was so long ago, I can't remember. I want to say like some kind of like orange capacitor thing that everybody uses that allows your, that really rolls off your tone. So it sounds like almost like a wah-wah. So that's really good. This tone knob is like the best tone knob ever. I mean, like literally, like you put it on, you roll something down. It's beautiful. So you could have as much bite or not, and it doesn't like hurt the sound to me. So what is the Telecaster used for? You know, and the Tele. Well, first of all, I would say if you're comparing the Tele to the Gibson, and don't take this the wrong way, but to me the Fender guitars are, especially the Telecaster, since it was really the first version of the electric guitar for Leo Fender, it's sort of primitive in a way. You know, it's a little bit hard for me. It's a little bit harder to play on than the Gibson. The Gibson necks I feel are just easier to play on. You know, and of course there's a scale difference. What is this? 24 3/4, 25 1/2, I think, for these. So it's a little bit bigger scale. Which to me I sort of like. There's pluses and minuses to having a larger scale, but you know, so I always say, like, I feel like I have to wrestle with this one a little bit more than I have to wrestle with the Gibson. But another huge difference for me with this guitar is the lightness of the strings. I have 10s, wound 10s on here. Flat wound 13s on here. So the second I pick up this guitar, I always feel like I just want to go. Because it's all there, all the bendy stuff, you know, and so yeah, so I play different on this guitar, you know, it's twangy. Now, can you play jazz on here? Well, yeah, of course. You know, Ed Bickert, he did that. Ted Green, you know, so yes, you can. Now, obviously, if I was really going to seriously just play jazz on here, I'd put big fat strings, and they would be, you know, flats probably, you know. But again, I just have to ask, like, why? You know, like, why would you do that? You know, it's like, I just saw a video where a guy took a Volkswagen Beetle, you know, little Volkswagen Bug, and put a Hemi in it. Okay, I mean, yeah, yes, you can do that, you know, but it's just like, it's not really what the Volkswagen was made for, you know. So I think that these things just are what they are, and they're made for what they're made for. That's what this guitar is made for, you know, and for rocking, you know. You know, it's you know, that's what they do. Right? Yeah. So for many years, I tried to do everything with one guitar, and I have to say, again, my personal opinion, let me know yours. I don't think there's like one guitar that like does it all. You know, you have these guitars where you dial in 80 sounds and stuff like that. I mean, I understand it, but you know, I don't know. It to me, it just doesn't work. Like, there's certain classic things that guitars do, and when you pick them up, it makes you do a certain thing. So again, if I could put it back to like the analogy of a car. Say you're going off-roading. Now, could you go off-roading in your Lincoln Continental? I guess. I mean, if you set it up and put bigger tires or did this or that, but really you should go off-roading in your Jeep and, and then go cross-country in your beautiful Lincoln Continental or, So I feel that way with the guitars, But again, I'm curious, what do you think? Again, what do you use? What are your go-to instruments? And I'm going to be doing a bunch of these where, today I wanted to do Fender and Gibson, And one other thing that I'll say about the Telly and just the sort of newer guitars that are the wood is not aged. Like when I got this guitar, I never had to do anything ever. It just was awesome. When I got this guitar, I had to keep adjusting the neck. Eventually the neck dried out. It became great, just like this neck. But when this neck dried out, I had to refile the frets because the neck actually shrunk and the frets were sticking out of the sides. It seemed like the frets grew, but they didn't grow. The neck shrunk. And that's because, most of these guitars now, when they're made, the wood is baked. And they have they have fancy terms for it now to make you think, oh, this is awesome. I got like burnt sienna or whatever they do to them. But really what it is that it's expensive to age wood, meaning that you have to take wood, you got to store it someplace for 15, 20 years. Now, Gibson, being in business for over 100 years, was storing wood, And with the newer guitars, it's not that there's not that option, but maybe there isn't. I don't know, because, there's all kinds of like export issues now on getting certain kind of woods and stuff. So my point is that if you get one of these guitars, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It just means that you, the consumer, need to spend time with it. You're going to have to keep readjusting the neck because the neck is going to be what I call green. It's going to be rubbery. It's going to move. And it's going to take a few years to settle in. You're going to need to get yourself a fret file. And you're going to need to file the sides of those frets because they're going to stick out. Your hand's going to rub on them. And, there's all kinds of instructional videos on YouTube that you could use to check that out. If you ever wanted me to do a maintenance video, I'd be happy to do that and show you what I do. You could do a lot yourself. And the cool thing about doing it yourself is you could get it to the specs that you like, which is important. So I guess that's it for today, for this little topic of Fender versus Gibson. Oops, Fender versus Gibson. Let me know what you think. All right, peace.